Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Show Us Your Kits. I'm Andrew from Hobbies Australia, and this morning we're going to have a look at a brand new offering, or actually two brand new offerings from the company Dragon Models. Now this is a kit that I'm very excited about, so let's get into it. Around about 2 years ago, the people at Dragon Models came to us with an offer of a 1/72nd Bushmaster, but they were proposing it in their Dragon Armour range, which is die-cast. Now, for us, that was something that was quite interesting, but it didn't quite tick the boxes for what we were looking for a kit for the domestic market. So we went back to Dragon and we said, guys, we really appreciate your efforts, we like what you're proposing, but is there an opportunity to do this in an injected model kit rather than a die-cast model? So over the past 18 months, through various phone calls and emails, working with the team at Dragon, we went away from the die-cast option from Dragon Armour, and we were able to have produced in 1/72nd an injected moulding of the Bushmaster. Now there's been two kits released. The first one, 7699, the standard Bushmaster protected mobility vehicle in Australian service, two different marking options in this box. The second kit that they've released is 7701, and this is being marketed as an SAS Bushmaster. We're going to crack open these boxes now. We're going to have a look at the sprues. We're going to have a bit of a chat about what's in the box and what the offerings are. So the first kit we're going to have a look at is 7699, the standard Bushmaster protected mobility vehicle. Box art, clean, attractive. We've got the vehicle in its Ozcam set in a desert scene, probably representing somewhere like Afghanistan, where the vehicle has been deployed recently. We open the box. On the side there, we've got the traditional CAD drawings that we see from Dragon, showing some of the features of the actual model. On the side, nothing else, starting again, box art, a little bit of features on the model on the last side there, so pretty straightforward. Instructions, fold-out sheet, sprue layouts, paint and marking options, and we'll talk a little bit about the painting of this model kit towards the end of the video. But there are two marking options in 7699. The first one is for 57 RAR, deployed in Iraq, and then we have the Airfield Defence Guards of the RAAF. So a couple of nice marking options there. Flip them over, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 construction steps, nothing onerous. Paint call-outs there in the normal brands of paint that we associate with Dragon. So again, nothing too onerous there, but as I said, we'll talk about painting on this kit towards the end of the video. When we start to look at the sprues, you'll actually get to see the connection between this model and the fact that it was originally designed as a die-cast model. Just going further into the box, we've got a little sheet here of photo etch. Now that photo etch is the windscreen wipers, and they're also rendered in plastic, but you've got the option of either doing them in photo etch or plastic, depending on what the modeler would like. Decal sheet, two options included on this, printed by the people at Cartograph, and as I said, the marking options are for 57 RAR and also for the Airfield Defence Guards of the RAAF. This model, when it's built, I can see this finding its way into a diorama with the Air Force markings, say alongside the Zvezda C-130H, or possibly an F-35 or an F-18. It's really nice to see an RAAF option for a ground vehicle. We don't normally see that in Australia, unless it's done by aftermarket people. The aftermarket guys have been looking at this kit, so I'm sure there will be additional Army markings available in not the too distant future, so keep your eye open for those. One of the next bags that we open up in the kit holds the 4 tyres. Now they're done in a black vinyl. It's a harder vinyl than would normally be expected in a Dragon model, and I guess this shows the link from this model being developed as a die-cast model and finishing up as an injected plastic model. These would be the sorts of tyres that you would expect to find on a die-cast model. Black vinyl, tread is really quite nice. There is a centre seam there, but it will clean up quite easily and quite nicely, and with weathering through paints and pigments, they'll come up very nicely. Again, showing the heritage of this model, we see here 2 metal axles. We wouldn't normally associate that in a 1/72nd scale kit of this nature, but the guys at Dragon have obviously capitalised on what they've already had produced, and it's a nice little touch. They'll secure those wheels really nicely. Clear sprue for the windows and the windscreens. Nothing really earth-shattering there, but you know, they're nice and thick, as they should be for a rendition of bulletproof glass. You could certainly paint those with a transparent green or smoke haze colour, and they would look very, very nice in the model. Large bag here, holding the 3 sprues, and wheel hubs, back step, side stowage. Interesting way in which they've done the internal fit out of this vehicle, and we'll have a look at that in a minute. There's those windscreen wipers I spoke about in plastic rendition. Front bumper, rear access hatch, steering arms, gunner's hatch, spare tyre cover, which is going to be really interesting to see how you go painting that up, because the geometric design on the camouflage on that cover can be quite tricky. I know the showcase models offering in 135th had the spare wheel cover as a decal, so I think that's really going to test your skill and your patience masking this up to get the geometric lines on the wheel cover as accurate as possible. There's the floor for the internal fit out of the vehicle, and you'll see we've got this hole here, and I'll just put this to one side and we'll have a look at this in a minute. Rear door, 2 options, an open version and a closed version. The big wing mirrors, hatches, and of course the top mounted Pintel machine gun for close protection for the vehicle. So it's all replicated in there and quite nice. The last couple of things here, and I've saved these for last, is obviously the hull. So the hull shape, the tub hull, and again we can see the links to this model being a die cast where all the suspension is all moulded in place. These 2 attachment points, very, very reminiscent of what you would expect to find in a die-cast vehicle, or a die-cast model I should say. Click together, nice and firm, great. A little bit of texture detail there on the roof, which is really, really nice. Now, of course, as always, Ryan will get some close-up sprue shots so you can see some of this detail. But as you can see there, you know, looks quite nice. Shape's right. Get all those bits and pieces on there, it's going to be quite good. The one thing that does stand out, obviously, is this rather large part here. Now, that's right in line with the door, and as I said, you have 2 options. You can either have the door open or you can have the door closed. There's a big window in the top of the door, so that part there is going to be very, very noticeable, so you're going to need to trim that out as part of your construction phase. So looking at again the heritage of this kit, as I said, we've got these 2 fixing points which you would expect to find in a die-cast model instead of a plastic model. Now what the people at Dragon have done, if we have a look there, there's the floor of the cabin. Okay, it mounts over and through that rear joining tab. Okay, the one at the front would be underneath the vehicle's bonnet, so you won't actually see it, but this one then goes through there. Now what's really interesting is the way in which the people at Dragon have then chose to represent the interior. Now this part here would glue into there, okay, and that is a representation of the driver and the assistant driver's position at the front of the vehicle. We then have this rather large joining point coming through the centre of the cab, but then on this part, this is then attached behind the mounting point, and if we look there very carefully, and Ryan will get a closer picture of this, we'll see there in silhouette for the side profile of the actual seats that are put into the Bushmaster for the troops that it carries. So it's a clever way of filling in the interior without actually putting in loads of detail, because in a 1/72nd model, 1/72nd scale model, let's face it, are you actually going to be able to look in there and see it? But what this does is give you an adequate representation with either the back door open or closed, so you can see a little bit of busyness inside the crew cab. If you do choose to have the back door open, I would suggest that you do some research and have a look at some of the cargo stowage racks immediately in the rear of the vehicle as the troops enter. On the left and the right hand side, radio racks, stowage, etc., etc. There's lots of online reference to the Bushmaster, both internal and external photos, so there's tons and tons of information out there if you're prepared to go looking for it. So the second Bushmaster from the people at Dragon is 7701. Now they've marketed this as an SAS Bushmaster, but what they don't do is they don't tell you whose SAS it's actually for. I sort of did a bit of a Google search, and what I found was that the New Zealand Army has the Bushmaster on strength for their SAS. There's no national markings or anything in here to actually tell you who it belongs to. My personal feeling on this model, on both of them, is that people are going to probably want to buy both. And what they'll do is the standard Bushmaster, they'll decal that up with the Air Force markings, and as I said, put it next to a Hercules or a Lightning or a Hornet. This particular one with the remote weapon station, with the heavy armour, they'll then use the second set of markings from the first kit we looked at and mark this up as an Australian Army 57 RAR vehicle. So looking at the instructions for 7701, we see it's in that fold-out sheet. We've got the paint and marking options there, sprue layout. We see in this one that we actually have a extra sprue, and we've got 6 steps in the construction of this model. The extra sprue in 7701 is relating to the remote weapon station, so we'll have a quick squiz at that. Okay. We can see there, again, the instructions, they're pretty much straightforward. There's no real tricks there. Your paint colours are here in the call-out, and of course, you know, you can take your individual licensing with that as you feel free. Being the SAS Bushmaster, this particular model is showing a lot more additional armour attached to the vehicle, so we can see there side panels, etc., etc. We can see there the remote weapon station. That's all represented here in the parts. So we'll have a quick squiz of those at the moment. We see on this particular version that a winch has been installed. That was also in 7699, but it wasn't used. So again, just a little bit of point of difference here. Honestly, this is going to build up very nicely, very simply, showing that single colour tone. It's not going to be an onerous build at all. So if we look here, you know, this is the additional spaced armour for the sides, for the rear, the remote weapon station. 50 calibre there is quite nice. I personally would be drilling out the barrel. Yeah, I know, in 1/72, that can be a little bit of a pain, but it really does enhance the detail on the model. All the other parts that are in here were replicated in the first kit that we looked at, so there's probably no need to go through those. But what we will do, of course, is have a look at the decal set. Very, very simple sheet done by the people at Cartograph. It consists of 1, 2, 3 technical data stencils to go on the outside of the vehicle. We've got a number plate there. We've also got a decal to put on the windscreen representing dust or dirt, and we can see there the windscreen wiper marks. Whether or not you choose to use that decal, or you might like to use pigments or painting, entirely up to the modeller. Okay, that takes care of that. We've spoken about the additional sprue C. So yeah, that's pretty much the 2 kits in a nutshell. To complement the 2 Bushmasters, we've also been able to secure a set from Scale Model Supply. Now, this is a little bit different to the normal types of paints that SMS retail. What we've got here is 3 colours in a smaller 10ml bottle. Now, the good thing about these ones is because they're a thicker paint, these can actually be brush painted. Now, there's a little instruction sheet that comes with this paint set telling you the ratio to thin the paint down if you would like to airbrush it, or by adding levelling agent, you can then brush paint these onto your Bushmaster, which is a nice touch. Not everybody has the luxury of an airbrush. The SMS paints are very, very popular, but traditionally have only been available as an airbrushable paint. It's a little bit different. The paints included here would do either of the 2 Bushmasters that we've looked at, and it's a really, really nice touch. We've been able to secure these locally through Scott and Katrina at the Scale Model Supply, and this is something that we're very, very pleased and proud to have in our warehouse now. That's the Bushmasters that we've got now coming into our warehouse here at Hobbies Australia. 1/72nd scale, the paint set, going to be very, very warmly received. The pre-orders I've got for these are very, very high, and we'll be turning this stock around as quickly as we possibly can. So expect to see this product or these products available in hobby stores, both online and in bricks and mortar stores over the next 7 to 10 days. In the meantime, hopefully you're all staying safe and well in this crazy world with fluctuating lockdowns and all sorts of craziness happening. Stay safe until we get to talk next time, whether it be by phone, by email. Don't forget, hit that like button, leave your comments behind for us so we can check out, see what we're doing right, see what we can improve on. Hit the subscribe button, share this video around. Until we get to catch up next time, I'm Andrew from Hobbies Australia. Take care, stay safe, and of course, build more kits. Bye-bye.